Hey, what's up, YouTube? How's it going? It is Black Friday, November 26th, 2021. It is already Thanksgiving and it is already come and gone. I hope you were able to get out and get some deals. It looks like Black Friday is not what it used to be, right? You'd always, I remember when I was younger, even my mother, sister, they go out and, shop till they drop, if you will. But, it seems like that is a distant memory. I saw on Twitter a funny post from a news guy in Philly I follow. He went to a Walmart or something like that, and there was one person in line. Guy was sitting there, and it's kind of where we are, I guess. But it is what it is. Welcome in. Hope you check me out here today. Just thought I'd do a live. Lives are tough on this YouTube thing, right? Because while I have over 1,000 subscribers, there are people with a couple of more than me. And a lot of those guys are either online or whatever. And I try to come on when no one else is on because I really feel like my content is worth watching. And I wanted to kind of do a show today, really kind of an open mic, really kind of answer whatever questions that you have on OC and whatever. But I wanted to talk about some things in general. I wanted to talk about Joey Gallo. I watched The Irishman, what was it, 2 nights ago? Hadn't seen it in a while. And I really just wanted to kind of talk about the Joey Gallo hit because I think that's one of the more, obviously The Irishman was filled with inaccuracies. I think it was a very good film, but it was someone that if you follow mob history, it was filled with inaccuracies. And one of the most notorious lies was that Frank Sheeran killed Joey Gallo. And it just didn't happen. And I want to talk more about that today. I have done a video on that. I talked about the real killer, an individual called Carmine Sonny Pinto DiBiase. He was actually a pretty high-level hitman for the Colombo crime family. He had been connected to a lot of different high-end guys. He was very close with Carmine Persico and was involved with some high-profile things during his time. At one point, killed his own best friend. Was definitely an interesting guy. So I want to talk a little bit about that. And I also wanted to talk today about Asian organized crime. One of my favorite things to talk about in this genre, because I think we need to remember, OC is not just Italians. It is filled with different nationalities, different groups. And you have Irish organized crime. You have Albanian organized crime. You have Black organized crime. You have Asian organized crime. And I think one of the most fascinating periods of our time, as far as organized crime is concerned, is the 80s. In New York was incredible, but really the 60s until the 90s in Chinatown, New York City. We have to remember that while the Italians were getting all the attention, some of the most violent individuals were actually in Chinatown, not far from Little Italy. People like Benny Ong, who you talk about a real godfather. Benny Ong literally controlled Chinatown. His family controlled Chinatown for decades. And we're actually doing a show on him on our podcast, The Sit Down, next week. He comes over in, really his teenage years from China, settles in the United States. His brother was in control of an organization called the Hip Sing Tong Association. And that's really the big thing it's important to understand about the Chinese and Asian communities. In the Italian communities, the mafia was really the governing body of the neighborhood. But in Chinatown, and to this day, Chinatown is controlled by tongs. A tong is basically a collective of businessmen that act as the chamber of commerce to that neighborhood. Now, what it really is a front for criminal organizations to peddle extortion, gambling, illegal activities. And the Hip Sing Tong controlled Chinatown, and they would beef with other tongs, including the Oling Tong Chinese group. And Benny Ong controlled the Hip Sing. His brother Sam controlled it before him. And what Benny Ong would do is he would go get these groups like Flying Dragons, and they would act as the enforcers for the Tong, and they would come under the control of the Hip Sing Tong. And over the years, people like Machine Gun Johnny Yang, Michael Chen, all these different groups bid for control of very profitable gambling, extortion. And remember, Chinatown is very small. Okay, you have Mott Street, Pell Street, Doyer, Bayard. It's a very small little enclave. It's little, kind of wobbly streets. And remember, Chinese organized crime goes all the way back to the 1800s when people would come over. You look at people like Mock Duck who controlled Chinatown. People like Tony Lee, you know, um, or Tom Lee. I'm sorry. Like these guys controlled Chinatown and they ruled with an iron fist. But Benny Ang was the real godfather, and I kind of want to talk a little bit about that today. And I really just wanted to take the chat wherever we felt like going with it. I am accepting super chats now if you want to contribute to my channel. Any money that I make on this will be either donated to guests that I have to get onto the channel. None of it will really go into my pocket. I want to make this channel better, eventually maybe, edit some of these videos when I do these shorts and things like that. So if you want to give to that, you're welcome to. You don't have to, though. I'm not someone that overtly does that. Let's welcome in some people here. Gianni, what's happening? Oliver Sutton, welcome. Edward Everett, how you doing? James Weldon, Roberto Wilco, good day from Australia. Thank you, Robert. We'll call you Robert. Roberto, Robert. Thank you, brother. Says your content's always ace. Thank you, man. Sunny Red Bull, what's up, brother? How are you? Settle down, Fin Freak. DP, how you doing? Was that double penetration? I don't like DP. Brooksy Boy, what's happening? Good to see you. Okay, don't be an asshole. Okay, we're talking Asian organized. Don't be a dickhead. Okay. Johnny Canalano says Flying Dragons, LOL. Yeah, well, the one thing about the Asian organized crime is they always had incredible names for their gangs, right? Flying Dragons, Ghost Shadows, Mock Duck. He was a real person, right? And he was a guy that, people would call him almost petite, right? He was a little individual, but these guys ruled. They had power. They had, the nimbleness. They had the ability to fight. And, those guys just, they ruled Chinatown. It's a fascinating thing. You got to remember, I mean, in the 80s, the drugs that were coming in to Chinatown was what? I mean, there was one case involving Machine Gun Johnny Yang where if you would get into debt with him, let's say gambling or whatever, he would force you to, as payment, take drugs, right? So he would, let's say 15 kilos, he would send it to some random gambling degenerate, and you accept it, and then you get it to the gang. And there was one individual or three individuals that were given packages, 15 kilos in each package, 45 kilos of pure China white. That's the amount of drugs this group was moving. Machine Gun Johnny Yang and these groups were making vast amounts of money, and they were putting tons of drugs on the street. In the case, they were suppliers to most people. Remember, also, the problem with Chinatown is it's so small, there were constantly other groups trying to create themselves. So, for instance, there was a guy called David Tai. He was a Vietnamese individual. He would be accepted into the Flying Dragons. He was Vietnamese, so he could never truly be a made member, just like the Italians. He decides, fuck this. I'm going to create my own gang, Born to Kill, and I'm going to unleash vengeance on all these guys. They would shoot up funerals. They would do everything. But it's interesting. The one guy that made it through all of this, Benny Yang. And if you've ever seen Benny Yang, you know who he is. He's this rotund, old school Chinese guy. He always had the fedora hat on. Really kind of reminded you of a Tony Salerno type of figure. He was someone that, ruled with an iron fist. He insulated himself from nonsense, and he was allowed to rule for a long time because he was never connected to crime. He would always use I'm part of a business association front and say, you're not going to ever do anything about it, right? That was kind of his thing. That was Benny Yang's claim to fame. And if you look at Benny Yang, he was the prototypical, Chinese gangster. And he was the one that would make it through all. David Tai eventually would be arrested. He would get life in prison. Still alive, still in prison, an old man at this point. Anthony Elias, Jeff, you look really in good shape. Take your opponent in the third round and stop him. I will. I will. And we sparred yesterday on Thanksgiving. I actually sparred against the kid at the gym, um, bigger than me. He's probably 6 foot, 6'1", and I mean, Chinese kid. He's a good fighter. Um, and for the first 3 rounds, I held my own. I'll tell you, it's funny. After the sparring session, he came up to me and said, "You got me with that one left. I hit him with a left hook. I hit him hard, man." And I did what I had to do. I mean, the fourth, we went 5 rounds. It was tough. We're only doing 3 rounds, but I was happy. I was confident with how I did. I'm ready to go. I'm looking forward to it. What's up, Mimo? Thanks for watching. I know very serious guys in their own right, but their gang names are hilarious sounding sometimes. I always found them to be pretty cool, to be honest. I always loved like the Flying Dragons, the Ghost Shadows. I thought they were cool names. Jeff, did you watch the recent video between Sammy the Bull and Micro Frenzies? Came out Wednesday. No, I didn't. I got to tell you, I couldn't care less. I'm not trying to be arrogant here. I've heard all those stupid stories. I don't need to sit and watch those two whine back and forth to each other. I just don't know how that's interesting. I guess it's interesting to people that don't know much about the mob, but like I've heard those guys are so played out. Just I've heard all this. It's almost like watching a John Gotti documentary. Like I've seen it all. I know that his son died, and I know that he eliminated Paul. Like I know all that stuff. I don't need to relive the same things. And with those guys, like it's kind of like MobTube, right? I mean, you can't really get a word in edgewise with most of these people. I mean, they always want to be right. You can't ever, they have too big a following too to ever like make anything matter. So I don't know. I don't really find any of that interesting. I saw it came out. And the thing with Bet David is like, I mean, put the fucking thing out already. Like, how long are you going to keep this? Like, everything's in parts. Oh, it's a money grab. Who would pay $99 for that? And I know it's content and they're going to sell it, but I don't care. I wouldn't watch it for free. If they paid me $50, I wouldn't watch it. I just don't care. What's up, Jane? How are you? Hope you had a good Thanksgiving. Hope all of you had a good Thanksgiving. Asia had the capability to mass produce opiates, so it makes complete sense. Yeah, I mean, if you know anything about heroin, it came from that area of the world, and obviously Afghanistan, which isn't far away. Yeah, it's 100% got the capability, and you look at, I think really the thing that will damage the drug trade, and I think needs to be reeled in, the fentanyl stuff, because a drug dealer. Fentanyl is not good for business. Okay. I know these addicts want to get as high as possible, but it's like, it's going to kill your business. I mean, you start killing people with your drugs. I see there's laced marijuana now with fentanyl. I mean, that shit's killing business. And again, I'm not saying it's killing the drug trade. Of course not. But, I'm not saying the drug trade is righteous or anything either. But I mean, you can't have that fentanyl stuff. I mean, it's just bad for business. Edward Everett, are you fighting 3 1-minute rounds? Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Not bad at all, right? If anyone pays for that stupid sit down, I feel sorry for you. Bet David is a jack off. Promise I'd be free now. Goes back on his word. Man who doesn't keep. Oh, he said that? I didn't see he said that. He said it'd be free and now he's charging for it. Wow, I didn't hear about that. I thought I didn't know he said that. Yeah, look, if he said that, now he's charging for it, that's whack. That's whack. Do you know anything about a young kid dying in Micro Frenzies' house? I don't. I haven't heard anything about that. I live in the heart of opioid country. You'll be coming to part of it in a few weeks. Yeah, West Virginia, 100%. It's very sad. It's destroying rural and urban communities. Yeah, that's a weak thing to do. I didn't know that. I thought he was. I thought it was like a charge. I think he was charged. Why would he ever say he wasn't going to charge for that? That's a weird thing to say. You know what he probably hoped for? He probably thought, I'm going to get a ton of promotion off this. I'm going to get advertisers. And a lot of advertisers probably said, we don't want to associate it with people like that. That's the problem that he probably had here. I think he probably thought, well, this is going to run. I'm going to make money off this. he'll make money off it if he puts it on YouTube by the views alone. But, you know, again, just because you have content doesn't mean advertisers are going to pay for the content. You need to have the only people that can do that are places like Barstool. They have all this different content. Some of it's controversial. Like, I'll be honest, and I'm not saying I'm Bet David, but let's say when I was at Barstool, I had an interview that I was going to do that would have been bigger than any of those interviews. I've said it before. I had a connection to someone that would be bigger than any of those guys. And I think Barstool could have promoted it very well and gotten advertisers for it. But, they're known to do controversial things. They do a ton of different types of content. I don't know. I don't know if Bet David has that pool to do that. But yeah, I mean, now he's going to charge for it. And that sucks. I mean, that sucks that he did that. Lead Pipe Joe, what's up with all the murders, kidnappings, and robberies at parks lately? Lately? That's been going on forever. I mean, Sugar House had that problem. This is the issue, guys. I mean, criminals are emboldened now. It's a simple thought, right, Joe? I mean, you sit in the parking lot, or you have one guy in the casino and one guy in the parking lot. You see a guy winning, you follow him out. It's pretty simple. That's been going on for years. I remember that would happen many times. I remember years ago, a friend of mine got robbed. He had, won a couple, $10,000, $12,000 at Sugar House. Got robbed. These people are emboldened. And it's not just now. This is not just a new thing. This has been happening for years. But yeah, I've always said, if you go to a casino and you win money, you got to do whatever you can to get it wired to you. Try to get someone to walk you out to your car. You got to think. Here's what I would do if I go to, because I've been to many casinos. I gamble. I would advise to go to well-lit casinos. You can get a security to walk you out, and you have to be. Here's what I would say: pretend you're always looking in your rearview mirror on the way home. You got to do the turn right multiple times, turn different way. Like, you got to make sure people aren't following you. Like, it sucks you have to do that now, but in certain areas that you live in, you probably want to do that. You go into parks, you go to Sugar House. You're going somewhere that, there could be the level of that going on. You got to be careful, And look, you should strap yourself up. If you're driving home, that fucking gun should be on your fucking waist, man. 100%. But yeah, I would avoid getting cash, see if there's a way you can take a check, or a wire transfer, something like that. Or carry a gun. A criminal, what my mother calls casinos? Dens of iniquity. That's what they are. Dens of iniquity. Everything that is bad about vice goes on in casinos. Women, gambling, smoking, bad food, criminals. Things happen late at night. I always keep saying this. If you live in Philadelphia and you go to parks or Sugar House, I think you're stupid. And go during the day. Go. You have to be smart, man. So most people just don't have any common sense, right? They're going to the casino at 3 a.m. and they, act like assholes, and they don't look in their rear view, and they just pull up to their house and act like no. You got to pretend that that's always a problem. Carry a gun. Be forthright with what you do. So yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about Joey Gallo. So we watched The Irishman, and we see that in the film they make it out that Frank Sheeran kills Joey Gallo. That didn't happen. Okay, that's a made-for-TV thing. It never happened. Joey Gallo was killed by an individual called Sonny Pinto DiBiase. DiBiase was from Little Italy. He was very close with a lot of people in Cosa Nostra. He knew Matty the Horse. He knew Carmine Persco. He knew a lot of people. Actually, at a young age, killed his best friend. at 167 Mulberry Street. They had a game, and the friend got a little hot, acted stupid, and the kid killed him, Sonny Pinto. But Joe Gallo was out of control. He was acting like a nut job, as we know, a lunatic, and people got sick of it. They ordered his killing. Interestingly enough, that killing that night, Matty the Horse was in the restaurant. If you know anything about Matty the Horse, that restaurant is from his family. His uncle actually owned Umberto's. He was said to be in the building that night, and he, quote, dove on the floor when Pinto walked in. Now, I wonder how happy he was that they decided to pick that place to kill him. But look, this is how murders work in organized crime. It's an on-site type of thing. You locate that individual. It doesn't matter what's going on. You take care of business under any circumstance. Remember that night, Joey Gallo was with his family, his wife, their daughter, or her daughter, who, by the way, it was like at 4 a.m. Why was a little 4-year-old girl out at 4 a.m.? Kind of wild. But Joey Gallo, and this was mentioned by the bodyguard and the wife, that someone walking in that was short and stocky, that looked Italian, according to her, killed Joey Gallo. Frank Sheeran did not look Italian. He was a big bruising individual, didn't look Italian. He didn't kill Joey Gallo. It's just that simple. It's made for a movie. It's good, entertainment, but it's not factual. Why would they shoot Joey Gallo with family there? Because again, in the Mafia, it doesn't matter who's around. If you see and remember, Joey Gallo wasn't stupid. I mean, he was, for the most part, for many years, involved in wars. He went to the matches. He knew people were out to kill him. He let his guard down. He assumed they weren't going to kill him with his family there. And Joey Gallo did something that you should never do in the mob. He sat with his back to the door. And if you know anything about him, he was positioned where he could not see who was coming in. He let his guard down. He didn't think anybody would be following him. And the problem was Sonny Pinto was. And Sonny Pinto knew that area. He got the call. Hey, Joey Gallo's here. Probably walked a couple houses down, took care of business. And this was a guy, Sonny Pinto, who was, involved with very big time things. I mean, down the road, he would be involved with the Fatty Russo situation, which I know OC Shorts did a video on Fatty Russo. Fatty Russo was an individual involved in the Colombo crime family. He was a high up. I believe he was a capo regime. He had a party at his home on New Year's Eve one night, and a waitress and waiter, two black individuals, the waiter started getting handsy with family members of Fatty Russo. He went up, grabbed a gun, and killed that individual and the wife of that individual, who was the waitress. And Sonny Pinto was involved with kind of the cleaning up, the disposal, getting him off. He was involved with some high, powerful profile things. So, that's something that I'd recommend that, you look into. This guy was pretty high up. He was a pretty high up. Vinny Boombots. Yeah, you're that pink veal cat. Yeah, you're an interesting, weird guy. I don't know what your beef is. I don't know what your problem is. You call people names. I mean, from what I understand, you're a grown man. I know you're just trying to have fun, but I don't know. You're a grown man. Maybe you should act like it. He was in a gang that couldn't shoot straight. Joey Gallo and his crew, and Joey ended up meeting him and liked him. Can't remember his name, though. Been happening a lot lately. I'm not sure who you're talking about. Yeah, that guy has like 6 different names. Vinny Boombots, Pink Veal, all this different crap. I don't know. He's a weird guy. Like, I don't mind, name once in a while, but you calling people names, like, I don't know. Stop doing that in like 6th grade, bro. David Cameron, you tell him. He definitely takes it too far. Well, see, look, I'm not the only person that notices. Thank you for watching. David Cameron. So, yeah, Joey Gallo was not killed by Frank Sheeran. Sonny Pinto did it. Everybody knows it. Seems like only a few people don't know that. We'll do a show on Joey Gallo soon, and we'll talk more about the hit itself. But Joey Gallo was a behavioral issue. Kind of like Carmen Galante. Didn't really want to play ball with anybody. Thought he was the shit, and ended up not being that. And they took care of him. Again, you fuck with the mob too much, and they're gonna whack you. Pretty simple. Is Albert Kid Blast Gallo still around? Yeah, as far as I know, I think he's in his 90s, I believe. Is he still involved? I wouldn't. I don't imagine. I don't know. I don't know offhand. I'm not in the mafia, but I would have to imagine no, he isn't. I'm sure he's respected though. But yeah, he's the only Gallo brother, I believe. As far as the three that's still around. All right. I'm weird. Please, I called you Veggie Tales. What does that even mean? What is that? What are you like 12 years old? Seriously, what are you 12? What the hell does that even mean? Veggie? What is that? Veggie Tales? What does that even mean? I mean, at least come up with like funny shit. Like that's not even funny. What even that? What I don't even know what that means. And I'm sure you're sitting in your like apartment somewhere laughing your ass off. Like, but it's like I don't know. Like I'm all for like funny shit, but like that's not really funny, bro. I don't even know what it means. It's just a weird thing to say. James Walden, why did people believe I only paid houses? Why did they believe it? Well, because people believe anything. People believe that John Halite was a stone cold killer and killed many people for the Gotti family. People believe that Anthony Raimondi is a gangster. People believe that some of these people like Tony Pizza were in the mafia. You could say whatever you want. Most of the people involved in this shit are either dead, or not going to say anything about it. So this is a business where facts don't matter to most people. They just say whatever they want, and there's a percentage of the community that you think about it. Let's say 100,000 people watch mob content. 85,000 don't believe anything you say, but 15,000 is a lot of people, and they believe it. So I think people believe it because somebody that wrote the book was, credible. Like George Anastasia wrote John Alite's book. George Anastasia is a great author. Doesn't make John Alite factual though. All right. Elvin Krigsman. There's a famous prison pic of Nicky Scarfo and a black guy with glasses. Who's the guy? That would be Sly Green, Donald Sly Green. Sly Green was a large-scale drug trafficker from Buffalo. He was very known, and in fact, Griselda, Benny the Butcher, West Side Gun, the rap group, they actually talk about Sly Green a lot. Sly Green was a very famous criminal from Buffalo. He's doing life, and he, from what I know, was close to Nicky Scarfo in prison. Sly Green is a long-time criminal underworld legend in Buffalo. A lot of people know Sly Green. He committed murder. I think was doing state time. He was up at Shawangunk for a while, and then he got moved to the feds, and he's been in the feds ever since. I don't know where Sly is now. I think he's in his 60s, I believe. Let me look him up, see where Sly is. West Side Gun, I know, shouts out Sly Green a lot. Donald Green, he is in, he's at Coleman, FCI Coleman, 62 years old. That was Sly Green. All right. Jeff, why are you skipping my comments? Because I don't get to every comment. That's why. I don't know what does Jerry Orbach have to do with this? Jerry Orbach was not at that hit either. Jerry Orbach's actually said that as well. He wasn't even in the city at that time. I didn't see your comment. Shirley, how much of the show have I missed? I don't know, maybe a half hour or so. maybe a half hour. Jeff, would you platform a rat? Would I platform a rat? Well, look, I've always said I'll interview anybody, but I will not platform most of these people because they're not going to answer my questions. So no, I would not. People like John Alite, he'll never answer my questions. John Alite wants to control the conversation. John Alite wants to talk to people like Bet David and Vlad and people that he knows don't know anything about the mob. So no, plus like again, like I don't think they're really that important to mob history, you know. Like the only one that was really the only two that were really important were Franzese and Sammy, and we all know everything about them. So, I don't know. Like I think Jimmy is kind of interesting. I would talk to Jimmy. I don't like or dislike Jimmy. I've said that multiple times. I don't have relationships with these people. I will recognize that I think Jimmy was probably just groomed probably to be a mob guy. Like he was groomed by people like Anthony Spiro who recognized young kids that were willing to do two things that he wasn't going to do. And yeah, I mean, when that's all it's hard to ever know anything different. The Bath Ave crew was very violent. They made money for sure. Paul Galino, Tommy Reynolds, DeFranzisi. I mean, those guys were tough guys. They were the farm team for Spiro and those guys. I would like to speak to people like him because I think Jimmy would answer questions, and that's one thing I do respect about Jimmy. I don't like him or dislike him. I don't have a relationship with him. I look at it strictly from professional standpoints. I'm not platforming anybody. I'm someone that talks about mob history. And I think if there's anyone outside of Sammy or Michael that I haven't heard that much about that I think was somewhat integral to at least the Bonanno family, in the 90s, the Bath Avenue crew were an important group. And I think talking to someone like him would be interesting. Now, there are questions that I think could get touchy with him that I'd like for him to answer, but I don't know, but yeah, I think someone like him, I'd love to talk to Joe Messino. It's not about rats. It's about talking about history. And can I ask the questions that I want to answer, ask the people want to hear, so I would never not talk to certain people, but I would never, it's not about liking or disliking them to me. Some of these, like Fatball Sicilian, he doesn't like Johnny. He doesn't like, I don't have any issue one way or the other. I don't know the guy, but for me, it's strictly a professional. Like, not that they're not professional, those guys, but, like Sicilian has a different type of channel. Like he wants to out those people and he should. They lie. People like John A. lie a lot. But John would never answer the questions that I ask him. So it doesn't really matter what I think. All right. All right. Cameron, I called him VeggieTales. He got pissed and blocked me. Now I just ask if he can take a little name calling. How are you going to win a fight? He can't take being called a wig. Because I don't know what that means. Explain what that means. You're calling people names. And yes, I have a channel that I like to just have normal. I deal with shit all the time, man. I want to have one thing where I can just have good conversations with people. And I'm not going to be this channel where people are going to come in and act stupid. It's just not going to happen. Act like a human being, an adult, and you'll have no issues with me. We're just not going to do it, man. Like I said, I don't mind occasionally the wig shit. I know I don't wear a wig, but like when you start calling stupid names, like you're not fighting me. I don't know you. We have to stop acting like the victim. You're not a victim. You're an asshole. And if you act like an asshole, you're out of here. It's pretty simple. You act normal, I'll act normal. I'm not putting up with this stupid shit. I'm here trying to put a professional show on and have good content and talk about the mob. And I'm not gonna add this stupid shit on here. You want to come on here and act like an adult, you're welcome to come on here. But when you start acting like a fucking 12-year-old, you're out. I deal with too much of that shit all day. And I'm not going to deal with it here. There's a lot of good people on here. Just want to talk about shit. All right. Cousin Paulie, what's up? What's up, brother? Good to see you. Hope all is well. Hope the family's good. I'll probably be down there Sunday, so I'll probably get in touch with you, bro. How close did Huck really get to taking Sammy Gravano out? Do I think Huck Carbonaro was going to? I don't know. I mean, I think that was definitely an in-motion thing. Peter Gotti, I think at one point was trying to make that happen. I don't think he ever got. I don't think anyone's going to get close to killing him. Gravano's one step below being an FBI agent. He's untouchable. No one's going to ever hit Gravano. It's not going to happen. He's the one guy that I don't think it'll happen. He's too high profile. Alpo, people forgot about Alpo. Jeff's cool. Save the trolling for pizza. And yeah, those guys have a beef. Let them sort that out. I don't really, I try to stay just worry about myself. How you doing? Good to see you, Father Time. Thanks for watching. Yeah, I talked about that thing. I didn't watch it. I don't care too much about it. Okay, fair enough. There you go, Vinny Boombots. You act like a normal person, you'll be good. Thank you. I appreciate your kind words. That's why just don't act like a fucking kid. I'm not a kid, neither are you. Let's start acting like adults here. Thank you. Appreciate that. So yeah, I don't know. Interviews I don't do much of. We did do a great show, and I urge you to check out the latest episode of the Sit Down, a Mafia History podcast. You can find it wherever you get your podcast, whether that's on iTunes, Spotify, whatever. And what I'm going to do now is I'll drop the link here in the chat. I did a great show with Black Handprint the other night. So go ahead and check this out. I just dropped a link there. Once we're done here, I urge you to check that out. It's a great episode we did on Frank Costello. Check that out. David, no, Jeff is a good person. He does his own thing and got dragged into bullshit. He is all good. Thanks, cousin. And I know cousin Paul. He's a good guy. Red, what's happening? Good to see you, man. Same to you. I do not appreciate people coming on this channel with silly BS. We're here to learn about what we're going to. Exactly, Shirley. Love you, Shirley. You're the best. I would take Shirley out on a date if I could. She's a great woman. I need a good woman like that. What's good, everyone? How are you, Jeff? I hope everyone here had a good Thanksgiving. Same to you, West Texas Burrito. Thanks for the kind words. Hope everyone had a lot of good food. Some people's food looked like I wouldn't eat it at San Quentin prison. That looked like better food than some of the food I saw, but I'm petty and bougie when it comes to Thanksgiving food. If Gotti didn't end up going to jail, how long do you really think he would have lasted on the streets? Well, I don't really see a situation where he wouldn't have went to jail. What would be that situation, Father Time? Do I think he would have been hit? I don't know. I don't think. I mean, I guess not particularly soon. I mean, who would have killed him? I mean, outside of Gravano, who would have killed him? Most of the people were very loyal to him, whether it was, his family. I mean, his son. His son ain't going to kill him. Peter's not going to kill him. All those guys were loyal to him. Probably a decent amount of time. But John Gotti was going to get pinched at some point. I don't think there was a situation where he wouldn't end up in jail. And John knew that. He's said that many times. We either end up dead or in jail. Do you think John Gotti was a racist? Well, I don't know what his thoughts would be, but he definitely expressed his racial sentiment many times. I think John was probably, and how do I say this with everyone understanding? I think John was from a certain time. Do I think he was a racist? Probably. I mean, he seemed that way, but I don't know what he really felt in his heart and in his mind. I think he just kind of did business with his own people. But yeah, I'm sure there was. I mean, I don't think you can quite say the things John Gotti said and not think he was at some point a little bit of a racist. Does it matter? I mean, he's dead. He said what he said. I think we all know what he said. I don't think we need to repeat it. What's up, M. Coop? Good to see you, bro. Hope you're doing well. How many people did Joey Gallo kill, would you say? Personally, I don't know. I don't know that answer. But those Colombo wars killed some people. Those Gallo wars. Do you think Gravano is still protected? Of course he is. Come on, he's the star fucking witness. Of course he is. He's probably the biggest witness in the history of the American government as far as organized crime is concerned. Of course he is. Let me ask you, you ever see his house? That house he lives in? You think he makes that just from YouTube money? He had that house before YouTube. Sammy has said he was a racist. Oh, so that means it's true. Stop believing what Sammy tells you. Shirley is a top lady. She's a good woman. Chin would have killed him. Yep, well, it's true. Chin tried to kill him. I think they also tried to kill Chin. People wait on hold for sports channels for 11 to 2 and ask dumbass questions. I don't get these people. Well, that's sports radio for you. Gotti had a destiny and was fulfilled. Exactly. That's one thing about Gotti we can respect. He was very old school, 100%. Wilhelmina Sybil would love to hear more stories about little-known stories that occurred in some of the Mafia clubs, including the Cotton Club, Copacabana. I've heard a few, but would love more. Well, I'll definitely keep note of that. I'm definitely going to do something. I'll tell you, the next short I'm going to do is going to be on the Aryan Brotherhood. And I'm not talking about the current Aryan Brotherhood. We're going to talk about Barry Mills, T.D. Bingham, and those guys, and how the Aryan Brotherhood was formed. And if you can believe this, it was not formed for racial points at all. And it's hard to explain, but I'll explain it when we do the video. The Aryan Brotherhood, many people believe, is a white supremacist gang. And in our world, it is. In our world, we don't live by race, right? At least in most people's eyes, everybody's the same. But in prison, it is truly a white, black, Mexican, Italian thing. Everybody hangs with their own. And in prison, look, one of the most famous Aryan Brotherhood members of all time was Thomas Silverstein, okay? The Jew. It wasn't about racial shit. Okay, in prison, it's very racially based. We all know that. But the Aryan Brotherhood, and that is a OC connection, because if you know anything about Gotti, look, the Gotti family will try to tell you that the beat up never happened in prison, but it did. Walter Johnson beat up John Gotti, and John then went to the AB to say, I want this kid whacked. That's what happened. And we'll talk a little bit about that. And we'll talk about Barry Mills, who is probably one of the more violent people in the history of the federal prison system. Him and Tom Silverstein, T.D. Bingham, all those guys. They were violent people. Killed a lot of people. You think about this. Barry Mills went into prison at 19, never got out again. Goes to the feds, gets a body right away, gets life. Institutionalized, that's what they call it. They're not meant to be on the street. Barry Mills was never meant to be on the street. He was meant to go to prison, and his life was inside. And for people like Barry Mills, his prison life is very easy. In certain instances, it's better to be there than where he was. In prison, he was a fucking power. On the street, he was a nobody. And that was clear. He would steal cars. That's the kind of guy he was. In prison, Barry Mills, though, was a legend. And anyone that knows anything about that group back then knows that. Jeff, with us Italians, it's not race. We actually have a good connection with black people, believe it or not. 100%. Trust me. I had black dudes in jail stand up for me just because I was Italian and was from South Philly. But it's not for us to save this or that. But we don't mean nothing by calling them a different stupid name, not the N-word. I understand. I get it. There's a lot of things that are different about old school stuff. But yeah, do I think John was racist? I have no idea. And yeah, again, John Gotti said stuff about Walter Johns. I mean, of course, guys, listen, I don't know the guy personally. I don't know John personally. But it just is what it is. M. Coop, the Baron, awesome video. Yeah, Barry is a fascinating guy. Um, you know, and you have to ask yourself, what do you do to prevent this kind of thing from happening? Because people like Barry Mills would write letters with invisible ink. And you'd think a letter was about his grandkids, but it was really, hey, war with DC blacks, and they killed Abdul Salim, who was one of the high-end DC blacks in Lewisburg. And that happened through invisible ink on paper, through letters. Barry Mills was at the ADX. It's virtually impossible to get any word like that out. But Barry Mills was using invisible ink that he would literally urinate on to get messages out. What I find most shocking is if the government is after you, they'll make a deal with the devil. That is what I learned. Yeah, they'll make deals with people that kill dozens of people. But as long as they hate you more, they hate someone more than you, you'll get off. The government hated Gotti more than Gravano. So Gravano killed his friends. He killed people that he was close to. But the government said, well, doesn't matter though. We hate that guy more. Silverstein was not Jewish. His step-pop was Jewish. So he was raised Jewish is what you're saying. That's what I mean. And again, I mean, that's just your opinion. Silverstein sounds Jewish. And again, he was almost adopted Jewish. The AB was built for protection. The whites were the smallest group. Yeah, exactly. It was not like they're not like the Ku Klux Klan or like the that's not the kind of group. They're not like racist. They do business. And if you've ever seen American History X, that's something that the character Derek Vineyard doesn't understand, right? He goes to prison and he goes to the California prison system and starts befriending these, guys that look like skinheads. And they probably have a certain racial undertone that he realizes in jail that the whites are with the whites. And then he starts seeing the whites moving drugs with the Mexican mafia. And he goes to them and he says, what are you doing? You shouldn't be even talking to those guys. Because he was a real white supremacist. He hated anyone that wasn't white Protestant, right? And he doesn't understand because he's a real white supremacist. They're not white supremacists. They are in prison and they roam with whites. They're not racist, or at least most of them aren't. So yeah, that's the, and again, it's only a prison thing, right? If someone creates a group on the street today that's all white guys and they talk about race and like the Proud Boys or whatever, like they're racist, they're racial gangs, but inside the AB is more of just whites all hang together, right? All right. Walter Johnson was from Philadelphia. He was from Philadelphia. That's correct. Prison is a whole different world, takes a totally different person to lead on the streets than exactly. Barry Mills, first time he went to prison was for car theft, grand theft auto. It's all good, man. Don't worry, bro. You're good. You're good. Thank you for watching, man. Appreciate you. I'll unblock you. Um, so yeah, there you go, guys. There's the show. I got to get off here. I try to eat around 2 o'clock. I intermittent fast, so I eat around 2. I have not eaten since last night when I had Thanksgiving. I also have to get out and work out. I have to go to get my booster shot today at 4:30. Knock on wood. Hopefully that all goes well. I also got to get out and run here. I'm not going to the gym today. I'm just doing my own cardio. So got to get out and jog and do my push-ups and all that kind of thing. So it's really windy today though. So I might go to I have my complex has a little gym area. We have like a treadmill and some stuff. So I might just go run on the treadmill. Sometimes when it's super windy, I don't really feel like being outside. It's just so cold, So I'm gonna get a little meal here and hopefully my college football continues to do well today. At least I hope. What do you guys got going on today? I'll stay down for a few more minutes. What do you guys got going on today? I know a lot of people will be out shopping. I always enjoy Black Friday. Nice. It's just a nice day. You don't have anything to worry about. I'm single, so I don't got to worry about my girl buying all this shit. So, maybe get a little, little nice little dinner later and just kick it. Thanks, Father Time. Thanks for jumping in. Do I like Iowa today? No, I actually took Nebraska. I took Nebraska. Now, if you're talking about basketball or football, in football, I took Nebraska. A show at this time is great for us Europeans. That's true. 5 hours ahead. Anything I like today? You need a winner. Well, I'll try to give you one. Iowa team total over in basketball. Who do I have today in football? I have a couple games currently. I have, I like Nebraska. I have Nebraska currently. I have Nebraska. I have Utah State, and I have Kansas State. That one started early. They are up one at the half against Texas, getting 3. So hopefully they just keep the ball on the ground. They have a better run game. Deuce Vaughn's terrific. I've been fading Texas for weeks now. I think Texas just sucks. Just not good. Okay, they're totally injured. Got a ton of guys out on defense. Their best running back, Bijan Robinson's been out. In case they can just run the football. You get the ball to Deuce Vaughn, keep the ball on the ground. It's going to be a long day. So hopefully they can extend this lead a little bit. Thank you. Hit the like button. Exactly. M. Coop, thank you for jumping in. Hopefully you have a good day with the gambling. Thank you, Gunner6. Appreciate that. As I said, go check out our pod we did on Frank Costello, me and Black Handprint Mafia. I just posted the link in the chat. Go check that out. And check out our podcast every week. We do that on YouTube or on Google Pods, Spotify, iTunes, wherever you get that. So, all right, guys, have a great day. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.